Welcome back. We'll include some important stories for this hour. In India, New Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has asked the government to deploy the army to control the deadly riots in the capital. The Indian government has already issued shoot-at-sight orders in the capital as the clashes over the controversial Citizenship Act continue. Kejriwal says police have failed to control the violence as 20 people have been killed and nearly 200 injured during the clashes. Opposition Congress Party head Sonia Gandhi says Home Minister Amit Shah must take the responsibility for the bloodshed in Delhi and resign. In a press conference, Gandhi asked why paramilitary forces were not called earlier when the situation was rapidly deteriorating. Journalists have also been shot at and assaulted in the clashes and asked to prove religious identity by Hindu radicals. Earlier, members of the right-wing RSS organization vandalized 3 mosques in the Ashoknagar and Mustafabad areas. Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan has called on the international community to take action against the ongoing anti-Muslim atrocities in India. Referring to the New Delhi riots, Khan said 200 million Muslims are being targeted in the country. PM Khan said Indian clampdown in occupied Kashmir was just the beginning and warned of more bloodshed. Khan added that anyone in Pakistan targeting non-Muslim citizens or their places of worship will be dealt with strictly. The Prime Minister said Pakistan's minorities are equal citizens of this country. Pakistan has recorded a strong protest of an Indian High Commission official over ceasefire violations at the line of control. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Aisha Farooqi said Indian forces have continuously targeted civilian areas along the border. Farooqi said 2 residents of a village in the Nezab sector sustained serious injuries due to Indian fighting. She said India has committed 384 ceasefire violations this year. Farooqi said Pakistan has repeatedly urged the Indian side to respect the 2003 ceasefire arrangement. She said India must allow the UN military observers mission to play its mandated role as per the UNSC resolutions. The US says Afghanistan's government has agreed to postpone President Ashraf Ghani's swearing-in ceremony for his second term. In a statement, US State Department spokeswoman Morgan Ortega said tomorrow's ceremony will be postponed to support the peace process. The statement asked Afghan politicians to focus on peace rather than electoral politics. Afghan Chief Executive Abdullah Abdullah's office has also confirmed the swearing-in ceremony has been postponed for 2 weeks. Meanwhile, speaking to media in Washington, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said the U.S. is on the cusp of enormous political opportunity.
In 19 years of war, this is the first week-long break in violence by all sides, if we're successful in achieving it. If, and only if, it's successful, we will sign the U.S.-Taliban agreement coordinated with the Government of National Unity on or about February 29th.
Washington and the Taliban are holding a 7-day partial truce before signing a peace deal on 29th of February in Doha. Now, moving on, Turkey says it will not take even a single step back in Syria's northwestern Idlib. Addressing the parliament, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said Ankara will push the government forces away from its military observation posts. Erdogan said he hoped the issue of using airspace in Idlib will be resolved soon. Russia controls the region's airspace and has been bombing Turkey-backed rebels on a daily basis in support of an offensive by the Syrian regime. He said Ankara will ensure the return of the people to their homes in Idlib. Earlier, Erdogan said US has not yet provided support to Turkey in Syria. He said he was told Washington will not give Patriot defense systems to Turkey for now.
Unfortunately, Russia doesn't want to accept this humanitarian sensitivity. The time that we gave to those who besieged our observation point is ending. We are preparing the plans to liberate our observation posts from the surrounding forces by the end of this month, one way or another.
The Russian-backed government offensive in Idlib has put Syrian citizens up against the wall. Trapped between bombing by Damascus and Turkey's closed border, displaced citizens in northwestern Syria have protested against the operation. More in this report.
After 9 years of war, Idlib is the last rebel bastion in Syria, but it's also the country's biggest humanitarian disaster since 2011. The UN warns 900,000 people have been displaced since Damascus launched its Russia-backed offensive.
We left the town of Hassano almost a week ago. When we came here, I built this hut. We have nothing but God's mercy. I am widowed. I have 3 children, and this kid is an orphan I'm raising. He has no one but me. I've raised him since he was 5 months old.
The situation is such that IDPs are now crammed against the closed border with Turkey. People are forced to camp in the roads and fields without shelter or access to food or water. This has created an irreconcilable wedge between the regime in Damascus and the people of Idlib.
Today, our protest, we are gathered here to tell the whole world that even if there is just 1 inch of Syrian land left, we will continue to say, down with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, down with Russian criminality, down with Iranian criminality.
Turkey already hosts 3.6 million Syrian refugees and cannot take more. Ankara has called for a humanitarian corridor in northwestern Syria to stop the inflow of displaced people. But these calls have been ignored by Damascus's major ally, Russia.
The UN Security Council has approved a resolution to extend targeted sanctions for the war-torn Yemen. The resolution was approved after tense negotiations between Britain and Russia, which the latter threatened to veto any mention of Iran. With China and Russia abstaining, 13 out of 15 members voted for the UK drafted motion. The sanctions plan includes extending the mandate of the UN experts monitoring the arms embargo imposed in 2015. The resolution extends measures providing for the freezing of assets and travel bans on targeted officials for a year. Among the disputes were the references to a report that Yemen's Houthi rebels received drone parts and weapons similar to the ones manufactured in Iran. The UK, the US and other Western nations supported the inclusion of the UN experts' findings, but Russia and China objected to that. The remaining parties of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action will meet today in Vienna to save the 2015 nuclear deal. The meeting comes after Britain, France and Germany launched a dispute process over Iran's successive pullbacks. Today's meeting at the political directors level will be chaired by the EU senior official Helga Schmid. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said this is a chance to stop the escalation before it is too late. Last month, Tehran said it will no longer observe limits on the number of centrifuges used to enrich uranium. It was Iran's 5th step away from the deal since US withdrawal. The US presidential candidate, Senator Bernie Sanders, has criticized Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, calling him a reactionary racist. Speaking at the Democratic presidential debate, Sanders said Netanyahu's policies towards Palestine were sad and tragic. The Democratic presidential candidate said US Middle East policy should protect Israel but not at the cost of Palestinians' sufferings. Sanders said as president, he would consider moving the US embassy back to Tel Aviv from Jerusalem. In late 2017, President Donald Trump unilaterally recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital that remains at the heart of the conflict. In China, another 54 people have died in the outbreak of new coronavirus in the last 24 hours. The death toll now stands at over 2,700. This is the lowest number of casualties reported in the country for 3 weeks. Cases of the virus have now exceeded 80,000 worldwide, with over 2,700 deaths. More in this report.
With COVID-19 numbers growing, authorities across the world are stepping up their campaign to contain the outbreak. China's National Health Commission says it has another 406 infections, bringing the number to over 78,000. While in South Korea, the death toll has risen to 11 and the total number of those infected have jumped to 1,146. The country now has the largest number of infections outside mainland China. In a statement, U.S. forces in South Korea said an American soldier had tested positive for the coronavirus and is in the self-quarantine at an off-base residence.
금일 오전 10시 기준으로 1,146 people have been confirmed with COVID-19, while 22 patients have discharged from the hospital after full recovery and 11 people have died. The majority of the patients are from Daegu and northern Gyeongsang province. The number of confirmed patients is increasing because members of the Shincheonji Church, especially those showing symptoms, are being intensively tested.
환자 수가 많이 나타나고 있습니다.
Italy has placed 11 towns in Lombardy and Veneto regions under quarantine. Italy is the worst hit European country as 11 people have died due to coronavirus, while the total number of confirmed cases have surged past 300. Health Ministry said the world is dealing with a virus that doesn't respect borders.
The 10 Italians, 2 have tested positive. The other 8 are symptomatic in the group. And in the medical testing that will carry on tomorrow, we have focused on 37 people who may have had contact with him, who are also Italian or from elsewhere.
The coronavirus continues to spread in Europe as Austria, Croatia and Switzerland confirmed their first cases.
The Maldives says it will join Gambia at the UN's highest court to seek justice for Myanmar's Rohingya Muslims. The luxury tourist destination has hired prominent human rights lawyer Emil Clooney to represent the country. In a statement, the Foreign Minister Abdullah Shahid said he would file a written declaration of intervention at the International Court of Justice. Shahid said the Maldives will support the ongoing efforts to hold the perpetrators accountable for the genocide. He said Maldives cabinet has decided there are strong grounds for intervening in support of the Rohingya people. Last month, the ICJ ordered Myanmar to implement emergency measures to prevent the genocide of the Rohingya people. Meanwhile, Japan has announced an additional $17 million aid for Rohingya Muslims taking refuge in Bangladesh. Tokyo has already granted $95 million to international bodies and the non-governmental organizations. In a statement, the Japanese embassy in Dhaka said funds will be used to improve shelter, child protection, water sanitation, and hygiene. It said the support will be used to improve the quality of life of Rohingyas in the town of Cox's Bazar. The embassy said the Japanese government will provide assistance in Bangladesh through UN agencies. Over 750,000 Muslim refugees were forced to flee Myanmar after the 2017 military massacre in Rakhine State. Malaysian politician Anwar Ibrahim says 3 parties from the former ruling coalition have nominated him for the Prime Minister's office after Mahathir Mohamad's resignation. Speaking in Kuala Lumpur, Ibrahim said Pakatan Harapan coalition did not agree to set up a backdoor government. Earlier, interim Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad proposed the idea of a grand coalition during meetings with the leaders of major political parties. Mahathir said that he will return as full-time premier if he gets the parliament's support. Mahathir's remarks came after King Abdullah met the country's parliamentarians for a second day as political turmoil continues in the country. And that's all for now. For further updates, you may follow us on social media at Indus Special.